One of the things that has helped me tremendously in the last 20 some years is, and pardon this expression, but I have made the decision to no longer be an expectation whore.
It's amazing. A lot of people in healthcare, me including, we are sometimes healing what we couldn't heal for ourselves, so we heal it for other people. I am Dr. Yvonne Beckford. I am welcoming all to my podcast, The Blue Zone, The Power of Now, The Currency of Time. I have been a clinical dentist for a little over 40 years now. I am a graduate of Georgetown University School of Dentistry. I am a speaker, an educator, a retreat host. I am a woman of many talents. But I want to start this podcast off by quoting Mr. George Bernard Shaw. He was born in 1857. I believe he died in 1950. So he falls into our blue zone. He lived to be 93 years old. This is from him. This is the true joy in life. Being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to make you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. So I am very honored to welcome my guest today, Miss Cris Duval. She is a registered dental hygienist, functional oral systemic health diplomat, patient lifeguard, and advocate. She's been recognized for leveraging science based evidence in patient centered care. She strives to be an architect of change in dentistry and medicine's approach to health. She started in 2001 on a science based wellness program for patient centered dental care at a practice in Seattle, Washington, Dr. Brian McKay's. By shifting her thinking and messaging of clinical habits from calculus removal to oral systemic health, she's helped patients improve their own life and save their own lives. It's important to her to save lives, but she shows patients how to appreciate their risk factors and advocate for their care. Hi, Miss Cris. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi. Um, I've had the pleasure of traveling with Miss Cris Duval. We were in Florida and doing some speaking, and she's very much a speaker. I want to talk about purpose, how it relates to the blue zone, quality of life. What was your purpose in your 20s? What's your purpose now? And your future purpose? Talk to me.
Wow, I love that question. Because my purpose really started uh, when I was 18. And what I mean by that is by the time I had turned 18, I had lost two brothers and my father.
Mm,
And that was so traumatic and so impactful on my life that I decided I was going to do whatever I could with those that I loved and cared about to save them from going through what I went through three times by my 18th birthday.
that's a lot.
And so at that time, I was in my 20s. I was just learning what I could do to heal and how I could leverage those events in my life to help other people. And so I went to hygiene school, and my second person in a hygiene clinic when I started clinic was my husband's grandfather. And I found what turned out to be oral cancer on him.
Wow.
And I then realized that every person that sat in my chair has a plethora of people that probably love and care about him, just like I cared about my grandfather, about my father, and my two brothers. So I made a commitment then that I was going to do anything I could for patients to help them realize and understand the things that I knew that could help them save their own life. So that developed as I went on practicing hygiene for 40 plus years.
Mhm.
And so now that I'm retired, um, my goal is to share my gifts and the things that I have learned over the years with patients and with other hygienists and dental teams.
Yeah. So you rewired, retired from one phase of influence, and that's the gist of my retreats and my message is that retiring is an American term from my perspective of that you just sit around and wait for the leaves have not dropped off yet. They're just changing. So tend to think we're in the autumn of our lives. So you just rewired because you're still helping people, you're still speaking, so you're just not holding the handpiece.
Exactly. And,
Mhm,
I believe that um, I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that I've been given gifts.
mhm.
And it's my responsibility to continue and to share those gifts. See, I don't want to leave this earth with a single arrow left in my quiver of my gifts that I've been given.
Your candle.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'm out there, I could walk away and go have a very nice life, but I just feel compelled. It's my purpose is to share my gifts. So
Okay.
that's what I'm doing right now.
That's your present. So
Yes.
future is looking like what for you? Give me an idea what your future is talking to you about.
Well, that all depends on what somebody upstairs has in store for me, you
You're
know?
living in the present. You're living in the now. And that's
Yes.
what we talk about.
And what develops, develops.
Mhm.
One of the things that has helped me tremendously in the last 20 some years is, and pardon this expression, but I have made the decision to no longer be an expectation whore.
Interesting.
I don't have any expectations of what's in store for my future. Or even today, and I'm not one of those people now that gets upset if things don't go the way I think they should go.
Mhm.
To give you an example of that, in my family, if there's a family event or something's going on and I don't get an invitation to it, I no longer get my feelings hurt. I
Yeah.
just think, huh, God must want me somewhere else helping somebody else. So,
And the food will
and
probably be better somewhere else anyway. But
I, you
I'm
never
just
know.
saying.
Yeah. So I just try and find out
Yeah.
where there's someplace that I can help.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it keeps the stress down. What would you think your biggest regret has been since we know what you've been helpful with, but what's your biggest regret?
oh, in life,
Mhm.
my biggest regret is um, that I gave up on my husband at one point in his life.
Mhm.
And it was when he called me at the office and said, I'm kind of having trouble breathing and I don't feel very good. And I said, well, go to the hospital. Oh, no. He said, I'll be fine. I'm just going to take a shower. It's no big deal. And we had talked about this stuff over and over and over
Yeah.
again. And I kinda gave up on him, and I talked to Dr. McKay, my boss that I was working for then, and he said, "Well," and I said, I give up on him. I just give up because he won't listen to me, he won't do anything that I recommend." And he said, "Well, I haven't given up on him."
Mm,
So he called, my husband's name was Gary, so he called Gary and he said, "You have 2 choices. You can be at Dr. Schuster's office in half an hour, and
mhm.
if you're not there, I will send an ambulance for you
Yeah.
because you need to go."
Mhm.
But my, that's my biggest regret is that I kinda gave up on him,
Yeah.
and we can't do that
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
people that we love and care about. We've
I don't
gotta.
think you did. You talked to Dr. McKay and he jumped in.
That's true, and it's
Yeah.
all reframing how you look at it. So, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm gonna change that thought then.
Yeah, because not saying anything sometimes is saying something. So you just
Yeah,
changed the language. So you far from gave up on him. You just changed the language.
yeah,
He
that you're
probably
right,
he
I
might have needed
reframed
a
it.
little more testosterone. So
Yes.
yeah,
Well, thank
yeah.
you,
So it's
I appreciate that.
right. That's rewiring. Yeah,
I
that
love
rethought processing.
I love thought reframing, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
perfect.
That's great. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it didn't sound like giving up on him. To me, giving up would be like, "Do you?" And you went on vacation. No, you kind of you just reframed it. Yeah, yeah. What would now with that? We're talking about the past, present, and future. What would you think was your favorite childhood memory? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in a place called Yakima, Washington.
Oh, that sounds like a commercial. Yakima
Was yeah,
sounds so
it's
peaceful,
kind of in the valley of Washington State,
beautiful.
and, so what was my favorite experience or time in my life? What did
Childhood
you say?
memory, favorite childhood memory. It could be more than one.
Um, I think one of my favorite ones was when we grew up, our father and mother, we had horses.
Hmm,
So one of the favorite things I used to enjoy doing was to ride my horse, whose name was Sally,
hmm.
and be able to ride underneath an apple tree and pick a fresh apple off of a tree and eat it. That and picking tomatoes out of my father's garden.
I don't know why I would know that you would say something about apples, Washington State apples. Everybody's got their commodity. That's beautiful. One of the things I talk about retreats and why I started this podcast is that my mantra is that there's a connection of purpose when scenery changes and guards are down. Honesty of commonality and authenticity flourishes. I found that listening to hear and not to respond flourishes as well.
Mhm.
Diversity of occupation, age, gender, and culture recognizes the community of commonality of all our frustrations. How does that resonate with you?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, I think my father was a motivational speaker, and he had a company called Personnel Development Corporation, and it helped people to really look at, what their potential is and to
Mhm.
get out there and, become better human beings, and listening, being a great listener was a big part of that,
Yeah. That's why I
and
got two of those ears, huh?
yeah, unfortunately, we have 2 ears, but only 1 mouth, so we
Yeah.
should using the 2 ears much, much, much more.
Yeah, it's nice to hear about what we have in common. It's amazing how much everybody has in common. Now, I didn't grow up with any apple trees, but I love me an apple. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a wonderful childhood memory, though. I personally think so. Any questions you have for me, or what? Oh, I got one. What do people misunderstand the most about you?
Oh, uh, a lot of people think I'm not approachable,
Hmm, so much
but
for that.
I am very approachable, yes, and, I'm just there to, um, make other people feel appreciated, and valued for their gifts and their contribution to our communities at large and to mankind. I think there are so many people out there doing good work, and love to look and find the positive of how people are living their lives and what they're doing, and help them feel great about that.
Yeah, keep that glass half full. Um, it's amazing. A lot of people in healthcare, me including, uh, we are sometimes healing what we couldn't heal for ourselves, so we heal it for other people. It's not martyrdom; it's a giving in a way that we don't have to talk about. Does that make resonate at all? I mean, because you're in healthcare, and we give, we give.
Yes, I live to give. I'm
Mhm.
one of those, but I also understand that what I can give to other people is a result of what I've gone through to um, be happy and content and feel balanced. And so I get taken care of in that process of helping others because I have to live it before I can talk about it with
Yeah.
others. So,
Yeah,
uh,
balance is a common theme when I talk to folks is that, most obviously physical ailments, emotional ailments, all of that comes out of being out of balance. The
yes.
the acidity
Yeah.
of words and body is a heck of a thing, and that's really deep. Any questions for me?
Oh, well, I want to know what is your most memorable childhood experience?
Hmm. Most memorable childhood experiences for me has been with my grandmother. I
Uh,
think that's something that's missing. We've become so nuclear. And I think one of the things about the blue zone is the sense of community. And I think social media can bring us together as opposed to bringing us apart.
mhm.
If the nuclear family of grandma's in Washington State and the grandchild is in Washington, D.C., get on
Yep.
the computer and have the conversation. I spoke to someone earlier about legacy, and I said that I appreciate the fact that we should probably concentrate more on not giving our children and or grandchildren things that we didn't have. Maybe teach them the lessons we didn't have, and I think that would have a bigger um, impact. So my best childhood memories are conversations that were unfiltered from my grandmother. She would say
Yeah.
things I'm like, "Ooh, that's a
Where'd
little
that
embarrassing." Yeah. But yeah, I got my, let's say, my social education from my grandmother. So
And I
that's
love that you say that, Yvonne, because what we know is life gives us the lesson
mhm.
first,
Yeah.
and then we take the test.
Yeah.
It's, you
Yeah,
know,
and that multi-generational theme is very comforting. Uh being a 35-year-old grandmother, there's not many lessons you can give, but it's just a sense of peace when I talk to young people and they always talk about their grandparents in a in a in a in a loving way because they're more relaxed. They can have that conversation and they're not, juggling jobs and all this stuff. They have time, that currency of time. And you don't appreciate it till it's too late. Anybody you would like to have a conversation with, personally or famous, and why?
alive
Dead or
or
alive?
dead
Dead
or
or alive?
alive. I think it'd be my father
Hmm,
for sure,
okay.
because he, unfortunately, he was writing a book called The Purpose of Purpose,
Hmm,
and he didn't get an opportunity since he died at age 46
wow.
to finish it. But my siblings and I have recently decided that we're going to finish the book for him.
That's great.
So I would love to have a conversation with him to make sure we're getting his concepts and his ideals correctly as we finish his book. So,
I
but
want to read that book. I
um,
want to read it already. Yeah,
thank you, thank you.
really. I love the title, The Purpose of Purpose. That's
Yeah,
pretty deep. That's pretty
yeah.
deep.
He was back in the day with Dale Carnegie and Earl Nightingale, and um, he spoke on the same dockets and um, Napoleon Hill back in those days. So I feel like I wouldn't have changed a thing about. I only got him till I was 18 years old, but I learned so much from him in that amount of time that I wouldn't change it for somebody that was around my whole life that didn't have any instill in me any ideals and thoughts and uh,
That's a remarkable legacy he gave you in such a short period of time. It goes back. We'll wrap it up more as far as there's no new story. It's just different actors. No new story.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, there's no new stories. That's usually that was my parenting call when folks, are young, now a grown man, used to think they were so much smarter than me. I said, "There's no
Yeah,
new story, my friend. Just
yeah.
different actors. Same crime, just a different time. Yeah, nothing new." you know. So there is wisdom. How can people get a hold of you and reach out to you?
I am available by email,
Mhm.
and my address is Chris without an H. So it's CRIS at thelifeguardapproach.com.
Yeah, I love that. The lifeguard. We truly are lifeguards. I truly appreciate you.